You can just stand there, and I can pan over and.
Okay, hi everybody. This is Ashley from the State Library. If you are joining us live, then you are watching our One Book for Colorado Hangout. We are going to have a very special story time and questions with our One Book for Colorado author. We also have a group of students joining us from Shoemaker Elementary here in Denver. And right before we get started, their principal would just like to say a few words, so I'm going to turn it over to her. Oh, and it looks like, Brandon, you guys are muted.
Oh, again. Go.
There we go.
Good morning, Giles.
Hey, good morning.
So, boys and girls, have you read this book, Giraffes Can't Dance?
Yeah.
This is one of my most favorite books, and so today you're going to get to meet the author, who is Giles Andreae, and he is going to read the story to you. How exciting is that? And then everybody gets one of these books to take home. So, Giles, we're so happy to have you here today, and thank you. Welcome.
That's a pleasure. Thank you. Well, thank you, Colorado, for voting for this book. I feel extremely honored. And this looks like about the best behaved bunch of children I've ever seen, yeah? Okay, am I going to start by reading you the book then, my friends?
I think that's a great
Did
plan.
you read the book to us?
Yeah, of course. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can.
Guys?
Oh, they're muted. So they're
I was going to say, you're far better behaved than any class in England that I've ever been reading to. Well, I'm assuming that you can cope with my funny accent, yeah?
Yep.
Are we ready to go? Everyone can hear properly?
Yes, we're ready.
Well, you guys can hear me, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, is it going to work if I show you the pictures? Maybe a bit, yeah?
Yeah.
We'll try this.
Book too.
Okay. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad, because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango which was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked towards the floor, but the lions saw him coming, and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald!" The animals all laughed. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool." "Oh, Gerald, don't be daft. I've realized I'm reading you an English version of this book, so some of the words will be slightly different to some of the words you'll be reading, but only a few of them. And I'm sure you're clever enough to understand." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor, and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing, and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on, "but sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that that lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing round. He threw his arms out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. I am dancing. Yes, I'm dancing. I am dancing, Gerald cried. Then, one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him, quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream. Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen." "How is it you can dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twizzled round and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." And that's the story of Gerald, the giraffe who couldn't dance. Oh, but he could, couldn't he, guys? He could dance. I hope that my freaky accent wasn't too odd for you.
No.
It was wonderful.
So I have a couple of questions for you that we have gotten from around the state. And one of them is all about your freaky accent, which is, so obviously you are British, and there was a question about what is it like to live in England?
Well, I wish you'd, why don't you all come over and stay with me, and then you can find out. You know, I'm really lucky. We moved out of London, which is, I'm sure you'll all know, the capital city of England, about 6 years ago. I've got 5 children. The youngest is 10, and the oldest is 18. And we found a house to live right by the river. And today it's a sunny spring day, and tomorrow I'll be taking my little 10-year-old to school in a boat. So as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty awesome.
That's exciting, traveling to school by boat.
It's very cool.
I wonder, are there any kids in Colorado that came to school today in a boat?
Did you guys come to school in a boat? No?
No. Did anyone come in a bus or a car?
I guess it's very snowy there, is that right?
Well, we had snow over the weekend.
Right.
And it's already melted. It's always very
like
sunny in Colorado.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes, unlike in England, it is very sunny here.
Yeah, well, it's our first sunny day almost for about, since I've been alive anyway. So like 15 years, yeah?
The other question that we got is, what is it like to write a story and have someone else draw the pictures?
That's a very interesting question. Well, I'm very lucky because I work with a lot of very good illustrators, and my drawing is absolutely terrible. If you saw my drawing, you wouldn't go anywhere near my books. So for me, it's a real privilege. But what's the most interesting thing is that very often the illustrators who I work with will draw something that I've written in a very surprising way that I hadn't expected at all. So for me, it always brings a great deal more to what I've written to have somebody else use their imagination on it. And I'm sure you guys would draw all sorts of different pictures for this book, different to what my friend Guy did, but they'd probably be equally interesting. So for me, it's a privilege. It's a real joy to have someone else to work with.
Did you have any special inspiration to write the book Giraffes Can't Dance?
I'm not sure whether or not it said this in the beginning of the edition that you have, but I know it's in one of the British editions. I was inspired by the fact that I went to stay with a friend in Africa. Must have been just over 15 years ago, because I think I wrote the book about 15 years ago. And at the bottom of her garden, she has giraffes, or giraffes as you call them. I've never seen giraffes anywhere outside of a zoo. And in the zoos, they don't have a lot of space to run. So I hadn't seen giraffes running until I was probably 35 years old. And I don't know if you've ever been lucky enough to see it. I'm guessing there aren't giraffes in Colorado.
Only
but if there were,
We have giraffes here?
well,
Where?
they have, as you can tell from the story, they have these really, really long, bandy, lanky legs, and you think they'd be difficult to control. But as soon as they start galloping, they move in the most extraordinarily graceful and beautiful and coordinated way. And I was completely amazed. And it started me thinking that actually we shouldn't judge people by what they look like. And we all have sort of surprising talents that we really ought to make the most of. And it's even more interesting when you can surprise people with them. So really, this book was inspired by seeing giraffes gallop for the first time and for being struck by how surprised I was by their grace and their beauty when I expected them to be very awkward. That's a very long answer, wasn't it?
But a good one.
We have one of our little 4-year-olds, Zoe, here to ask a question. Can I get her to ask you a question?
Yeah, hey Zoe, how are you?
Zoe, come on over.
Hi?
Say hi.
I love your t-shirt.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
What's your question?
Why did you name that giraffe Gerald?
Oh,
That's a good question.
for that, why did you
name
name
the
the
giraffe?
giraffe Gerald? Good
Well,
question.
do you know what? It's a very interesting question. I wanted the giraffe's name to start with the same letter as giraffes. You know, that quite often happens. You have Harry the hippo or Freddy the frog. So I wanted it to begin with a j sound, and I had two ideas. I thought Gerald. I don't know if it's an American name particularly, but over here it's a name that's quite a sort of unusual name. And the other idea I had was Jeremy. But as often happens, the only Jeremy I know, I didn't really like. So I couldn't call my favourite giraffe Jeremy. So I didn't know. I knew one Gerald, and he was quite an awkward guy, quite uncomfortable. So I thought that would work very well. That's a very good question, thank you. And by the way, the name of my first dog was Zoe, and I miss her still. It's a wonderful name.
No.
Perfect. We have one more. Zariah wants to say hello now. Speak up.
What's your name again?
Really well. Mariah,
Zariah. You want to talk
Hi,
to
darling.
us?
what's your question?
Do you like to dance?
Well, let me ask you a question. Does your daddy dance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he a cool guy?
Is he a cool guy?
Yes.
Yes.
Does he dance in a cool way?
Does he dance in a cool way?
Yeah.
I know you're the one answering the questions. Well, I've told you, I have 4 children, and all 4 of my children would say I'm terrible at dancing. So sometimes, and this is true, I'll put on music in my own little office, and I'll have a little boogie on my own. So I love dancing, but my children hate it when I dance.
Well, maybe we should all have a boogie before we end.
Do you guys want
Without question.
No? You like a wiggle?
I
No?
guess not. I'll do a little.
They're too. Can you just take dance?
Dancing.
All right, here they go.
You've got the music.
Can you guys dance?
You guys dance every day.
Oh,
Tell you
there.
what,
There we go. All right. Let's here. Maybe this will help. We'll make them the big picture, and they can see themselves dancing.
do you want some music?
I think they're making their own music.
Okay. You probably saw there's like 8 guitars on the wall behind me.
Good job.
You see, children are far better dancers than grown-ups, aren't they?
Yep. All right. Well,
All right.
since you mentioned the guitars, do you play the guitar?
Yes.
Is there a particular type of music you enjoy playing?
Yeah, kind of folk country music.
I wonder if that's if that would have the same meaning here as it does there.
Well, there's a guy called John Denver, right?
Yes.
He was pretty keen on Colorado, right?
Yes.
That kind of music.
Okay. I think the other question that I have that I got beforehand is, have you ever felt like you didn't fit in like Gerald did?
Well, yes, I have, and in a very particular way. Has anybody there got red hair?
Does anybody have red hair in there?
Okay, I'm just telling you guys, red hair is the coolest hair, but not everybody agrees. And I have red hair. Well, I did have red hair. It's going a bit grey now, and it was a lot redder than this when I was a child. And I've actually got 2 children with red hair, and we used to get teased about that a little bit, and I didn't like it very much. I like it now. I love red hair now, but I was a bit self-conscious about it when I was younger. And I think everybody has something that they feel a little bit uncomfortable about. And really, the point of this story is very often those are the things that make us unique and make us special, and they're the things that we should celebrate.
Excellent. Ellen, did we have any other kids that wanted to ask questions?
Any other kids?
I want to have a question.
This little one who's facing me.
Yeah.
Come on up.
We've got a lot of people with questions.
Yeah.
You want to go stand up? Be in the camera.
Okay, stand right there now. Look at the camera.
Yeah, look at the camera right there.
What's your name, bud?
What's your name? James. What's your question, James?
Hi, James.
What's your question?
Suddenly shy.
What's your favorite animal?
Let's say it louder.
What's your favorite animal?
What is your favorite animal?
That's a very good question. Well, I guess most recently my favorite animal is one of my hens. Hens, chickens, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Chickens, yeah.
Because the kind of eggs that my dog lays aren't quite so tasty as the kind of eggs that my hen lays, yeah? And I bet no one can guess the name of my hen.
What is?
Shall I tell you? I wanted to give it a name that would be very surprising for a 50-year-old man to give a name of a pet to, and I called it Elsa out of Frozen.
Elsa the chicken.
You have to say the whole thing. Elsa out of Frozen, the chicken.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite dance?
Oh, what is your favorite type of dance?
Oh, okay. Well, I like disco.
Disco. Do you know disco?
Do you?
No.
Disco music.
Maybe you could show us.
Okay, you're going to need a bit of education later. It's the most dance that you could conceive of.
What is your
That is good hair.
Oh, good question. Say it again.
What's your favorite color?
Your favorite
My
color.
favorite color is purple. What's yours?
Purple. What's your favorite color?
Orange.
Orange.
My third favorite color is purple.
I was going to say orange. I thought I'd gone on about orange too much, but orange is cool.
All right, we
Orange.
have one last question. You gotta get the last question. What's your name?
Zoran.
And Zoran, what is your question?
What's your favorite? What's your favorite car?
Oh, your favorite car.
Car.
It's a good.
Well, shall I tell you something? I was frightened that I was going to be late for this appointment because I got stuck in a traffic jam picking up a new car today.
Oh.
When I say new, It's 15 years old, but that's pretty new to me. And I don't know if you have too many of them out there. It's called a Land Rover Defender. Do you know those cars?
Yeah.
No.
It's a big four-wheel drive car, and it looks like a tank. And my wife is very keen. And it's almost the first time I bought a car and driven it home without it breaking down on the way. So I'm feeling pretty cool about that.
Well, his favorite car is Lightning McQueen. So.
Oh, I
The movie.
doesn't have a name yet.
Thank you.
Well, we are so very happy that you were able to join us today and to host. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the kids of Colorado who are all going to be receiving your book?
No, I just think I'm delighted you've chosen it because I think the message is really important. I think we all need to be ourselves and to be confident to do the things that we love doing, and you shouldn't let anyone else tell you not to, unless they're really naughty.
We have one more question. What is your question?
What's your favorite Broncos? What's your favorite team from the Broncos?
Oh, what's your favorite team from the Broncos?
I don't know that they have the Denver Broncos there.
I can't answer that because we don't have like the Broncos over here.
Right? But
We have soccer.
you have soccer. What's your favorite soccer team?
Well, I'm torn because all of my children support different teams, but I'd have to say Chelsea.
Can you guys say thank you?
Thank you guys for being so well behaved and for listening and for sitting still. Now listen, when you go, I want your teachers to introduce you to disco music, okay?
We will definitely show them disco.
Yeah?
Thank you so much.
Say bye.
You guys say bye?
Bye guys, good to meet you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
So thanks everybody who's joining us and who may be watching this later on. One Book for Colorado gives away 75,000 books to Colorado's 4-year-olds every year, and we are so lucky and grateful to have our author joining us this year. So thanks for tuning in.